Wait, before you go anywhere, feel this for a second. If you're seeing this tonight, this is not random. Out of millions of people, this reached you. Not by accident, not by coincidence. Something has already started, and most people won't even notice it happening. But somehow, you did. And that changes everything. Because this moment right here, it's not just a video. It's a trigger. A signal that found you at the exact time you were meant to see it. Be honest. Have you been feeling a little off lately? Like everything around you is exactly the same. Same routine, same people, same life. But something inside you feels different, unfamiliar. Almost like you don't fully belong to the version of life you're living anymore. And you can't explain why. You try to ignore it. You distract yourself. You tell yourself it's nothing. But it keeps coming back. Stronger, quieter, deeper. Like something inside you is trying to get your attention, but doesn't have words yet. If that's you, don't ignore this. Seriously, don't. Because what you're feeling right now isn't random emotion. It's not stress. It's not overthinking. It's awareness, trying to break through. And here's the part most people miss. This doesn't happen to everyone. Only a few people feel this shift when it begins. Only a few people recognize it before it fully unfolds. And right now, you are one of them. So don't brush this off. Don't scroll past this moment in your life like it's just another second. Because it's not. Something has already started inside you. Something quiet, but powerful. And tonight, it's getting stronger. You've been trying to brush it off. You tell yourself it's just stress. Just a weird mood. Just a phase that will pass. You try to explain it logically. You try to move on, but deep down, you know that's not true. Because this feeling doesn't leave. It lingers. Quiet, but constant. Like something sitting just beneath the surface of your thoughts. And the strange part? It shows up the most when everything gets silent. When you're alone, when there's nothing to distract you. That's when it gets louder. Not in words, but in presence. You start noticing things you never paid attention to before. The way conversations feel forced. The way people talk, but don't really connect. The way laughter sounds real, but feels empty. And suddenly, you don't fit into it the same way anymore. You're there, but not fully there. Like part of you has stepped back, observing, watching, trying to understand what changed. Because something did, and you felt it. The things that once excited you, they don't hit the same anymore. The goals you were chasing, they feel distant. Almost like they belong to a different version of you. And that's what confuses you the most. Because nothing outside has really changed. Your life still looks the same. But inside, it's different. Completely different. It's like you're living in the same world, but seeing it through new eyes. And no one around you seems to notice. They're still moving the same, talking the same, reacting the same, while you feel like you've stepped into something unfamiliar. And it's isolating. Because how do you explain a feeling you can't even name? How do you tell someone, I don't feel like myself anymore, but I also don't feel lost? It doesn't make sense, not to them, and sometimes not even to you. So you stay quiet, you keep it inside, you act normal. But inside, something is shifting, slowly, silently, powerfully. And here's the part that might unsettle you. This feeling, it's not here to leave, it's here to grow. Every time you ignore it, it comes back stronger. Every time you distract yourself, it waits. Because it's not trying to disappear. It's trying to be noticed, trying to be understood, trying to wake something up inside you. And whether you realize it or not, you've already started listening. That's why you're here. That's why this feels familiar. That's why this doesn't feel like just another video. Because this feeling you can't explain isn't random. It's the beginning of something. Something most people never reach. Something most people avoid their entire lives. But you didn't. You felt it. You noticed it. And now, you can't unfeel it. And that's where everything begins. Think about the last few days. Or maybe the last few weeks. Go back for a second. There was a moment. Small, almost unnoticeable. But something inside you shifted. You didn't announce it. You didn't post about it. You didn't even fully understand it. But it happened. And ever since that moment, nothing feels quite the same. It's subtle, but it's everywhere. You started questioning things you never questioned before. Simple things, normal things. Things that once felt certain, now feel uncertain. You look at people differently. You listen more closely. You notice the pauses between words, the energy behind conversations, the things that aren't being said. And it's strange, because no one else seems to notice any of it. But you do. You see patterns now, repeated behaviors, predictable reactions, cycles that feel almost scripted. Things you used to ignore without thinking now stand out like signals. And it's not something you forced. It just started happening. Naturally. Quietly. Like something inside you turned on. And now it won't turn off. There's this awareness building inside you. Slow at first, but growing. Expanding. Spreading into the way you think. The way you feel. The way you see everything. And it feels like you're waking up. Not suddenly. Not dramatically, but gradually. Like your mind is pulling back a layer you didn't even know existed. And what's underneath? It's unfamiliar, a little uncomfortable, but also strangely clear. And that's where the unsettling part begins. Because you didn't choose this. You didn't ask for it. So why now? Why, out of all the moments in your life, did this start here? And why does it feel like you're being pulled towards something without knowing what it is? It's not just curiosity. It's deeper than that. It feels intentional, like something shifted for a reason. And you're only seeing the first piece of it. Because let's be real, this doesn't feel finished. It doesn't feel complete. It feels like a beginning, like the first crack in something bigger. And once something cracks, it doesn't go back to how it was. It expands, it spreads, it reveals more. And that's the part you can feel right now. That quiet tension, that subtle pressure. Like something is about to unfold, something you can't fully see yet. But you can feel it getting closer. And maybe that's what's been unsettling you the most. Not the change itself, but the fact that deep down, you know this is only just beginning. Here's what most people will never tell you. Not because it's a secret, but because they don't even realize it themselves. This feeling you've been experiencing, it's not random. It's not just in your head. And it's definitely not something wrong with you. It's part of something bigger, something subtle, but incredibly powerful. Because while you've been going through your daily life, waking up, talking, scrolling, repeating, something has been shifting behind the scenes, quietly, without noise, without announcement. And that's why it's so easy to miss. Most people do. They stay busy, they stay distracted, they never stop long enough to feel it. But you did. And that's the difference. Because this shift, it doesn't affect everyone. It only touches the ones who are paying attention, the ones who are starting to question, the ones who are ready, even if they don't feel ready. And that's why this feels so isolating. Because when you look around, everything seems normal. People are still laughing, still talking about the same things, still chasing the same routines, like nothing has changed at all. But for you, it has. And that creates tension. A quiet internal tension you can't explain. You're in the same world, but it doesn't feel the same anymore. It's like you're standing in a room full of people and suddenly realizing you're seeing something they can't. Not because you're better, not because you're different in some obvious way, but because something in you has woken up. And once that happens, you can't go back to sleep. That's the hidden problem no one talks about. Awareness separates you. It creates distance, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, energetically. And that distance, it grows. The more you notice, the more you understand. The more you see through things, the harder it becomes to pretend everything is the same, because it's not. And deep down, you know it's not. That's why small things start bothering you. That's why surface-level conversations feel draining. That's why you feel pulled away from things that once felt normal. It's not random. It's not a phase. It's a shift in perception. And that's where the real tension begins. Because now you're stuck between two worlds. The one you used to belong to, and the one you're just starting to see. And the hardest part? You can't fully go back. But you don't fully understand where you're going yet. And that space in between, that's where everything starts to change. At some point, you probably stopped and asked yourself, am I losing it? Why do I feel this way when everything looks completely fine? And maybe that question didn't come just once. Maybe it kept coming back. Late at night, in quiet moments, when there was nothing left to distract you. And the more you thought about it, the more confusing it became. Because from the outside, your life still makes sense. Nothing is falling apart. Nothing is obviously wrong. But inside, something doesn't feel aligned anymore. And that disconnect, it makes you question yourself. But listen carefully. You're not losing yourself. You're not breaking. You're not going crazy. You're becoming aware of something deeper. Something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Because it's uncomfortable. Because it forces you to see things differently. Because it asks questions most people are too afraid to answer. That discomfort you feel? That confusion? That quiet, persistent pull you can't explain? It's not a breakdown. It's a shift. A real one. And shifts are never comfortable. They don't arrive with clarity. They don't come with instructions. They begin in uncertainty. They begin in silence. They begin in moments where nothing makes sense. But everything feels different. At first, it's subtle. Easy to ignore. Easy to dismiss. But then, it grows, slowly, steadily, until ignoring it becomes impossible. Until pretending nothing is happening feels fake. Until you realize this isn't going away. And that's exactly where you are right now. Right at the edge, not of losing yourself, but of meeting a version of yourself you haven't fully seen yet. And that edge? It's uncomfortable. Because you're standing between two identities, the one you've always known, and the one that's starting to emerge. You can feel it, even if you can't define it, even if you don't fully understand it yet. And maybe that's what's been scaring you. Not the feeling itself, but the fact that it's leading somewhere unknown. But here's the truth most people never realize. You're not falling apart. You're expanding. And expansion always feels like confusion before it feels like clarity. So if this feels overwhelming, if this feels strange, if this feels like something you can't control, good. Because that means it's real. That means it's happening. And that means you're already stepping into something new. Why do you feel different? Why do things that once mattered suddenly feel empty? Why does silence feel louder than noise? And why does it feel like something is about to happen, even when nothing around you has changed? These questions weren't there before. They didn't follow you. They didn't sit in the back of your mind. But now, they won't leave you alone. They show up at random moments, when you're doing nothing, when you're doing everything. And the more you try to ignore them, the stronger they get. Not louder, just deeper. Like something inside you is trying to show you the truth, but it's holding back. Not because it's hiding, but because you're not meant to see it all at once. Because if you did, it might overwhelm you. So instead, it gives you fragments, small realizations, moments that feel too real to ignore, feelings you can't explain, clues that don't fully connect. Yet, and all of it leads to one thing. It's waiting. Waiting to see if you'll notice. Because once you do, everything starts to make sense. But here's what no one tells you. This isn't the beginning. It only feels like the beginning, because this is the first time you're truly noticing it. But this already started. Long before tonight, long before you clicked on this, there were signs, subtle ones, easy to ignore, moments where something felt slightly off, but not enough to stop you, not enough to question it deeply, just enough to pass through your mind and disappear. Times when you felt pulled in a different direction, but you stayed where you were. Times when something didn't feel right, but you convinced yourself it was normal. And maybe you didn't ignore it on purpose. Maybe you just didn't understand it yet. Because you weren't ready. And that's okay. You weren't supposed to see it clearly back then. But now, something has changed. Now you're starting to notice the pattern. Now you're connecting moments that once felt random. Now you're seeing that those small feelings weren't small at all. They were signals, early ones, quiet ones, preparing you, guiding you, leading you to this exact moment. And that feeling you've been trying to explain, the one that keeps showing up, the one that doesn't go away, it's not new, it's familiar. You've felt it before, just not this strongly, not this clearly. And that's why it feels different now. Because it's no longer in the background, it's right in front of you, demanding your attention, asking to be understood. And here's the part that changes everything. Once you truly see it, you can't go back to not seeing it. Once you recognize the pattern, you can't pretend it's random. Once you feel the shift fully, you can't convince yourself it's nothing. Because deep down, you'll know. You'll know this has been building for a while. You'll know this moment was coming. And you'll realize this isn't where it starts. This is where it becomes clear. And once it becomes clear, there's no turning away from it anymore. Pause, just for a second. Don't rush past this part. Don't skip ahead. Just stay here. And really think. When was the last time you felt truly connected? Not distracted? Not scrolling? Not half present? But fully there. Fully aware. Fully in the moment. Can you remember it clearly? Or does it feel distant? Like something that used to be normal, but isn't anymore? Because if it's been a while, that's not random. That's not just life getting busy. That's part of the shift. Something inside you has started pulling away from what no longer feels real. And at first, that creates space. An empty kind of space, where things that once filled you up don't reach you the same way anymore. Conversations feel surface level. Moments feel incomplete. Even joy feels quieter. And that can feel uncomfortable, confusing, even a little unsettling, because you're used to feeling something. And now there's this gap where that feeling used to be. But here's what most people don't realize. That emptiness isn't a loss. It's a clearing. Because sometimes, before something real can begin, everything that isn't real has to fade first. Everything familiar has to loosen its grip. Everything comfortable has to stop satisfying you. So, you're forced to notice, forced to sit with it, forced to question what's actually meaningful. And that's not easy, because questioning changes things. Awareness changes things. Once you start seeing clearly, you can't go back to pretending. And right now, that's exactly what's happening to you. You're in that space between what used to feel normal and what's about to feel real. It's quiet here, uncertain, a little uncomfortable, but also important. Because this is where clarity begins, not in noise, not in distraction, but in stillness. So don't rush out of this feeling. Don't try to fill the silence too quickly. Because this moment, this exact space you're in right now, isn't empty. It's preparing you. And what comes next depends on whether you're willing to truly see it. Here's the truth. Not the easy version, not the comfortable version, the real one. The thing you've been feeling? It's awareness. A deeper level of awareness that most people never reach, because most people never stop long enough to feel it. But you did. And now it's unfolding inside you, slowly, quietly, powerfully. You're starting to see beyond the surface, beyond routines that once felt automatic, beyond distractions that used to keep you occupied, beyond illusions that once felt real. And that's why everything feels different now. Because once awareness begins, normal life stops feeling normal. The things that used to make sense don't hold the same meaning anymore. The patterns you once followed without question start to feel repetitive, predictable, almost artificial. And that realization, it's not comfortable. Because awareness doesn't just show you the truth. It removes the filter you were used to seeing through. And once that filter is gone, you can't put it back. You can't pretend not to notice. You can't unsee what you've already seen. And that's why part of you feels unsettled. Because change has already started. Not outside, but inside you. And whether you realize it or not, you're already thinking differently, feeling differently, seeing differently. This isn't a phase. This isn't something that fades away. This is a shift in how you experience everything. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's also powerful. Because awareness doesn't just reveal truth. It transforms you. It pulls you away from what isn't real and pushes you towards something deeper, something clearer, something undeniable. And once that process begins, there's no going back to who you were before. Because that version of you, it's already starting to fade, and something new is taking its place. But here's the part that might shake you. This isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Because not everyone reaches this point. Most people ignore the signals. They stay distracted. They never question anything. But you did. You noticed. You felt it. You paused. And that changes everything. Because awareness is a doorway. And once you step through it, there's no standing still. Your life doesn't just continue, it transforms. Quietly at first, then completely. Whether you feel ready or not, and that's why this moment, it matters more than you think. Don't ignore this. Don't dismiss it. This moment matters. Something inside you is trying to wake up. If you ignore it, it fades. If you listen, it changes everything. So ask yourself, will you walk away again, or finally pay attention? You felt this. You know it's real. This wasn't random. Something has started. Now choose. Ignore it or become it.